Denise, on this side, are you leading the pledge, Denise?
Yeah. I
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks. Willie, will you lead us in a roll call so we can determine if you have a quorum?
Ready? Steve Denny.
Here.
Corey Hall.
Here.
Jerry Burmeister.
Here.
Brian Williams.
Here.
Marissa Skaggs.
Here, 5 out of 5 members present, have a quorum. First up, the approval of the November meeting minutes. These are in the Google Drive. I know that we have one small correction, adding a C to Rob Shine's name. Other than that, are there any questions, comments, concerns regarding these minutes? If there aren't any changes, I will entertain a motion to approve with the one edit to the spelling of Rob Shine's name.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval of the November 14th, 2024 minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Moving on to clerk treasurer's report. In the Google Drive, we have all of our claims for the month of October and November. If we have any questions, Willie's here to answer those.
We've got it all caught up for the end of the year, so we can go behind after the first of the year. Get caught up again, but you'll see the general fund's in good shape. The vouchers, you've got October and November both there, so if anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
Any questions for Willie? If there aren't any questions, I'll entertain a motion of approval for the November and October claims as presented.
Make a motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval of the October and November claims for the year of 2024. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Moving on to department reports. First up, we have the police. Mark Carter.
Sorry, I didn't wear my vest. Everyone else out here. Monthly report for November. On the first, we were invited to McCordsville PD. They just opened up their new police department. You guys are all invited too. Anytime you want to go down and see it, just give me a call. We'll go visit Chief Casey. Real nice facility. It's not over the top, but it plans for the future for them. They're kind of equal to us. I think they have 15 officers right now, and the building's planning for 70. So it has growth potential, but it's not overkill. So anybody that's interested, we can go down and take a tour. Pretty neat. Christmas in Pendleton went fine. Sergeant Stan Brown just returned from homicide training down in Gatlinburg. Defense tactics training. Officer Bertram and Officer Silva provided guidance in our new defense tactics training. The academy has changed the way we do defense tactics. It's a lot of judo and hands-on fighting, and it's pretty intense. And one thing we do a little different than others is because he's friends with Bertram, is Kevin Barkdale. He's an ex-MMA fighter, and he comes in and wrestles with us, and that's always a treat. So if you ever want to see just how much you can get beat up, come visit our training. And then you may have heard there was a shooting at the Legion a couple weeks ago. They didn't report it when it first happened, but we were able to find out through word of mouth. We then found shell casings, and within a couple hours, Officer Branson, we were in a house in Anderson, found more weapons, had a guy in jail, and he's sitting there on a $50,000 cash bond. So he'll probably look at some time here in the future. So it was just one of those cases. I know the chatter was talking about it, so I was letting you guys know. Total of 1,019 incidents for the month, 21 crashes, 51 criminal charges, 18 citizens arrested, 1 juvenile, 2 ordinance warnings. Are we writing ordinances yet? Have you heard through Anderson City Court?
I don't believe so.
We don't know yet. Okay. And because I told my men not to. And Indiana Code Warning 73. And I always like to point that out that our warning number is somewhat still high. I don't want anyone to ever think that we are writing tickets to generate money. My men make the decision at the time of the stop what to do. So that's always good that that's still a high number. We're also in the ending parts of our hiring phase. The Guardian Alliance software is awesome. As he put it, he geeked out with it. It goes to levels deep into people's past that we would have never gone before. And what's interesting about the growth of Pendleton, no longer is it Jim's cousin down on East Street that wants to be a Pendleton police officer. With the possible 77 perf switch, we got a lot of laterals. In fact, half of our applications were laterals from other departments, which is huge. And we've narrowed down from 24 applications down to 3 that are gonna have the oral interview this next week, and they're all laterals. So
That's awesome.
It's great.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, but that software, it was spot on. It's pretty neat. So I think, is the town gonna use that in the future too?
Yeah, did we ever get, we never got that demonstration, right? Or didn't go schedule it.
Yeah, I'll have to email it to you.
Yeah.
And I can walk you through it.
Yeah, just get with him. He's been, it's
I would
it's
say
pretty
so. It's
intense.
awesome.
Yeah, it is. So. And I included just a picture of the McCordsville and the layout of their building. One thing they did, if you look at the diagram, for instance, they have an indoor gun range. It's a 2-stall indoor gun range, but it's also, because it's a big concrete hallway, they can use it for defense tactics, they can use it for sim round training, which is the paintballs. They can use it for FATS training, which is the video stuff. So that one little area can be used for 4 or 5 different things.
What was their cost
10 million. Yeah, and they did the
For
lease
7.
buyback
for 70 officers?
for 7.
You remember correctly.
It's on here. 18,000.
18,000?
Yeah, 18,000 square feet.
All of them.
One thing that's interesting that they did with their building is there's a door off the back of it that's attached to the parking lot. And so what it is employees of the town can use it anytime with a passcode. You get into the weight room, you get into the shower room, you get into bathrooms, but you don't get into the guts of the PD. The other thing with that room, because of its proximity to the parking lot, they can have, and I know back when I was on the council, we sold the room at the fire department to be used for the public. Well, the access is kind of rough, but people do use it, and it is a positive. The way they built their building, people in the public can use that room, and it's bigger than this.
I
It's
see.
huge. And that way people can get in there, but not into the police department. So they put some
Smart.
thought into it.
Nice.
And what's nice about this is we also got to learn the negatives. So they have some showers. They didn't put a shower edge, so water comes out into the room. The garage sally port, if they had to do it again, they'd want 10 more feet out. So it's little things like that we were making notes in the future. That's
That's
my
great.
report. And we have a department Christmas party tonight, so I'm wearing jeans and none of this.
Good for you. Any questions for Mark? Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
You ready, Aaron?
Hello, Aaron.
How's everyone?
Great.
Good. The lights are up in the park. You haven't noticed, they look good. Big thank you to Friends Falls Park for coordinating all those groups and families and getting them assigned spots to decorate. Got an exciting pickleball project moving forward. Hopefully have some design renderings for you in January, but looking to get that project completed by May of next year. So I know a lot of people in the community have been asking for it, so we've found some help in funding it and look forward to offering that in the park next year. Something happened at the pool last week. I don't know what it was, but it happened, so.
Thank you.
But
Did someone say zip line? See that, Steve? They're thinking about you.
Yes, correct. Will not do it.
It's starting to steamroll.
Anyone have any questions for me?
Any questions for Aaron?
Will you all have a wonderful holiday if I don't see you?
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks, Aaron.
Planning?
Did you turn it off?
Sorry.
So you have my permit summary in front of you. If you have any questions on that, let me know. In November, we had the street department put up the National Register of Historic Places signs that we ordered a while ago. The hardware that they came with was not compatible with our welcome signs, so they had to kind of finagle something together, and they did a really excellent job. So if you haven't seen those are up on our IMPA signs now. Another thing we're doing is working with legal counsel to create a certificate of occupancy ordinance. So this would be for any and all new businesses that move into an existing structure. It's kind of hard to keep track of when businesses move in and out, and sometimes we've had some non-compliant per zoning businesses move in or try to move in. So this would be something to help keep track of that a little better. Honestly, we used to kind of just go off sign permits to know when a new person moved in, because we don't really have any other way of figuring that out. So this will definitely help with that. We have a few site plans that are in either preliminary approval or preliminary phases. Blue Star Concrete over on 700 has basic town approval. We're just waiting on Madison County Drainage Board and Fall Creek Regional Waste to give their review and approval. But they have everything they need from the town, as well as Huntsinger Commons. So this is 22 attached single-family rental units that will be next to the existing condos that are in Huntsinger Farm. There's only 4 of them. There's 2 buildings, 4 units that were started. You know, those were built in 05, 06, something like that. So this is someone kind of continuing that style of project. Again, they have approval from the town. We're just waiting on those other entities to give final approval. The roads are now an acceptable level that we can accept them. So we'll be doing that soon, where we can formally accept those roadways. And one other item I have, Baker's Point, this actually just changed yesterday. They were looking to have their first road in by the end of the year, but the weather's been so uncooperative, they just can't do it. So they're gonna restart that in March. So she's gonna be doing earth moving, laying in electric, water, sanitary, things like that, but they just can't get the weather right to put the road in the right way. So we're glad on that. If anything changes, I'll keep you updated with it. Our business park trail is moving along really steadily. That's going to be a fantastic project, especially because we'll have a lot of developer driven construction on that where we don't have to pay for it, which is great. But that's all I have. Any questions on my report?
Being on both the historic boards, thank you for getting the signs put up.
Yeah, no, yeah.
They look
Big
good.
thank you to the street department for that.
They look
They
good.
did
Thank you.
excellent work.
Okay. So one of the things that's coming up is the Pendleton Citizens Academy. It'll roughly be in the spring, 9 weeks long. We're looking to have 15 to 12 people. This will be our initial, so we'll be just a little selective who we pick, and then of course for the second one or third one, we plan to have a broader net. I think Denise is going to talk more about trees. That probably should be 75 trees planted now. And you're going to go in that detail a little bit more. And then we received the grant formally that from the state of 900,000. We got to contribute 25% of the project, so money on top of that, and that's for the Elm Street, Main Street reconstruction. It's getting close to being started. And then also the McCarty Drain, the final phase, that is going to be starting up here quickly, and that'll be boring underneath the railroad track and 67, and then coming across roughly where the Gardner property is. And then of course, they just talked about the National Registry signs. There's a lot more going on, but those are just some of the highlights. Any questions?
Scott, I'm sorry if I should know, but what's the Pendleton Citizen Academy?
So it's our first time. It's sort of based on the experience that the school corporation had. They have their Citizens Academy, and they just basically, we're going to go over the functions of the town government and how that works. And so there will be a cadre of citizens that are a little bit more intimate about how the workings go on here. And for this, probably this first set will be some of the people that are the heavy lifters in town that interact on our committees.
or some of the other nonprofits around. So they'll go all through the basic functions. If you want to sit in on it, we'll start with, budget 101 probably. Go through that and what's the structure. And then in the end, they'll work towards do part of this, but they'll work towards the scenario we're thinking right now is we'll make some assumptions as we go through the 9 weeks of what we're going to look like at 20,000. And so they would start with doing some planning from what would the town look at like at 20,000 going forward. And that would be comprehensive plan, those sorts of things, infrastructure, thoroughfare plan. How would we handle financing? So I'm excited about it.
Thanks.
Yep.
Awesome. Any questions for Scott? Perfect. Denise, Urban Forestry Annual Report?
Good evening. So as staff lead on behalf of our Urban Forestry Committee, I'm here to present our annual report. So this annual report, we are actually charged to provide this to town council each year per our ordinance that governs this body. But we actually look forward to this. We've done this here for the last few years, and as a committee, just looking back, we do this in October and November, and just looking back at all of our progress and accomplishments that we've done throughout the year, it really helps us not only validates the important role that this committee plays in our community, but then it also gives us direction for our next year and what type of impacts that we need to make and improvements. So 2024 really has been a great year. I am very proud of each and every member that serves on this board. They not only come here for our monthly meetings, but they are very hands-on. They're in and out of a lot of different projects throughout the year, as well as different trainings. So unfortunately, tonight we weren't able to have many of our members here. It's a 5-member board. We do have 1 member here, but just with the holidays and work schedules, it didn't work out for many of them to be here. But I would like to still introduce them. We have Carol Hanna. She is our president of our board. We have Joe Scott, the vice president. Carrie Dodd, she is our secretary. We have Jeanette Isbell. She has been a member since 1993 when this board was created. So yes, so she's our longest standing member. And then we also have our newest member, Dr. Kenneth Lau. And he has really been a great addition to our board. He really brings a lot of element of just some very interesting ecosystem knowledge, to our board. So we always get to hear, from him each month. So just really appreciate their investment in our community. They are always steadfast in trying to find creative ways to be a great urban forestry resource for our community. So that being said, in your Google Drive is our full annual report here, but we would like to just kind of touch some highlights of each of our section here. And starting out, we have a couple of special acknowledgements. First of all, and foremost, in the spring of 2024, by Arbor Day Foundation, we were recognized as a Tree City USA community. We have been recognized now for 14 years. So to receive this recognition, there is much criteria that needs to be met. So there's a lot of involvement. It's not just the financial investment, it's the hours and commitment by our board, our ordinances that we have, and planning documents that we have in place. So many cities and larger communities than us do not have this track record. So I really think this is something that us as a community should be very proud of, and thank you very much for your leadership and support in making trees a priority. Because if that was not the case, this recognition would not be made possible. Another great experience for our committee this year was we had a personal tour by Stephen Hayes. He's the owner and director of the Hayes Arboretum in Richmond, Indiana. We spent an entire day with him. He shared with us the ins and outs of managing, operating, taking care of an arboretum. That is one of our long-term goals that we would like to have as a committee, is to have a mini arboretum here in Pendleton. So that training session is going to be very valuable for us as we go forward. And last, it was an honor. We were invited to speak at the Indiana DNR Symposium last week. We served on a 4-member panel. And Rachel Christensen, she co-presented with me. we were asked if we could go and share how community engagement is a vital role in tornado recovery efforts. So as you recall, Rachel was the former planning director when the tornado came, and then when we did that recovery tree project, which we planted 300 trees, that was 100 trees in the park system, and then also 200 trees here in the residential that were lost in that tornado. So it was great to be able to give back to our state. There were several different representatives in different capacities serving in urban forestry across the state that was there. Just being able to help them guide them through their recovery efforts. We had some tornadoes come in the last couple of years throughout our state, but then also to illustrate how engagement was important in tree planting projects and that it plays a direct correlation with a successful project. So speaking of projects, for our projects for the year, we want to just give some shout outs to some that involve some amazing youth in our community. It's a lot of fun working with them. We had our first one was the Arbor Day poster contest. That was the first year that the Indiana DNR brought, and we jumped on board along with our school. So our Pendleton Intermediate 5th grade classes all participated in this great project. Every student in the 5th grade class, which was 4 classes, created a poster. The theme was the Oak Trees, Superheroes of the Forest. I know we had them present here in front of the town council earlier last spring. And Nora Bishop, I just kind of wanted to give her another shout out that she got 2nd place in the state. So she was our school winner, and then she ended up getting 2nd place in the state. We had some presents in the farmer's market booth, and we had a Braylon Wilson that was willing to do some face painting. So we had some interactive activities to be able to help, educate the public on the importance of trees. And she's a student from the elementary that came in and made those presents extra special. And of course, then we had our annual Arbor Day proclamation celebration program with our 4th grade students. We teach about the history of Arbor Day and also the importance of trees and the many benefits they give us, give our environment. And Mrs. President Skaggs, she was a part of that ceremony. So we really appreciate that. And then last was a new thing we added this year was a pruning exercise. We have been to different training exercises this last year, and we learned some pruning. So in our 19 young trees that we had on our Franklin Street project, when we reconstructed the roadway there, we pruned those trees this year. So we've actually already touched base with Aaron Burris, the director of the park, and he's welcomed us to come in and do this in our new trees that we've had there in the new playground. So we're really looking forward to doing more of that this next year. For management and maintenance efforts, we completed our 2nd year of our 5-year rotating inventory assessment. We work with a certified arborist. This year, over 900 trees were inventoried. And in those inspections, what is noted is conditions, growth change in their diameter, and then any needs of maintenance for care and maintenance for that tree. So that will go back. It gets put into our inventory. If you have not seen our tree keeper software that is on the town's website, it's on our urban forestry page. It's pretty amazing. So it will show the location of all of our street trees and our public right of way, our parks, and our cemetery. And it also will highlight the benefit. So you'll see the value calculated based on the size of those trees and the species of those trees. So between the arborist, plant growth management team that we work with in that program, town manager, planning department, and electric and street departments, it's really become a really good working system, for our urban forestry canopy. So as the report will outline there, it shows here what our financial investment is on our trees there in section 4. And as town manager Scott had alluded to earlier, we planted 75 trees this year. The thing that's very exciting about this program, and this was about 3 years ago, I think the electric department supervisor Craig Switzer had expressed to Scott that it was very important that we start managing the trees under our power lines and our utility easements. And so since then, it's been able to see a great transition progress to from that mass removal of our trees to more of our maintenance. So that's allowing some more additional funding to be able to put towards our tree replacement. So as you can see, our investment in tree canopy is quite remarkable for our community. So moving forward in 2025, some things that we'd like to, just some goals that we have set for our committee. Our year 3 inventory assessment, we're going to start including our new subdivision street tree inventory. So we're going to start adding those to the database. Also, we are looking at adopting a new approved tree list. This is going to give an expansion of species selection options for developers, but then we're going to add to that also just salt tolerance, soil and light tolerances, locations that are good for these type of trees, the size of the tree, the growth information for those trees. So they'll help in the selections, not only for those developers, but also for our residents. And then last, there's a K through 12 program. It's Tree Campus program through Arbor Day Foundation. We've made contact with the middle school, and we really would like to enact this program here in the next calendar year for 2025 to 26. That program is phenomenal. It helps educate students about the importance of trees. It helps also introduce them to different career opportunities that are urban forestry related, and it just helps foster lifelong advocates for trees. Just to summarize at the end, we have special recognition. We work with many consultants and community partners throughout the year. So we really want to give a shout out to all of them. Love to be able to state all of them tonight, but they're listed in our report. But we absolutely could not do what we do without their support. We want to give a special shout out to our street department, our electric department, our parks department, our clerk treasurer's office funnels a lot of our funding for our program. And then also our local businesses. They were phenomenal in giving donations to make our school projects great. And then at last, in speaking to our members, they wanted to give a special shout out to Town Council President Marissa Skaggs. She is very involved with our programs, our school programs. She is always present there. She welcomes, she introduces, and she's been a great support. So we wanted to make sure that we mentioned that, and thank you for being a special part of our program.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
So, yes.
It's the best day ever, getting to go to the elementary school in the middle, and the intermediate school to talk about trees. I come from a long line of people who love trees. So
Yes.
getting to pass that on another generation is always fun.
Yeah, yeah, so, yeah, and it was, I don't know if I mentioned the 75 trees, we did get to plant trees, replace trees that got lost during a storm drain project this past year. We also had some trees that come down just because we've lost a lot of large maples or aging out in conflict with our sidewalks, so we replaced some there on the street trees, and then also at the maintenance barn, we also planted some trees there for some screening that was needed. So, we invested $10,000 in trees this year, which made us very happy, as a committee. So thank you very much. That's a wrap. If you have any questions, we have more than happy to answer.
I have to say though, like urban forestry was one of those committees that kind of has seen a lot and high volume of activity, low volume of activity, and I have to hand it to that committee for staying the course and sticking it out when we had no money to plant trees, and then we had a tornado and it felt like it was an insurmountable challenge. That committee stuck with it, and so hats off to them. They have done a great job turning that committee around, and so it makes me happy to see that they're getting to bond as a group and doing all these activities together, because there were a lot of years where it was a real struggle.
Yeah,
So-
they are a great group of individuals. Yeah.
They really are. So thank you, Denise.
Yes,
And thank you,
yes.
Dr. Lau.
Yeah.
And for those that aren't here tonight, thank you. Okay, moving on to new business, ordinance 2435, amending the UDO. This is just a text amendment. This went through planning commission last Wednesday. And these were the 4 that we came out with that survived the vetting.
Yes, the gauntlet.
Yeah. Hannah, anything to add to these?
No, if you've read through them, these are amendments, technical updates for our as-built, fire hydrant requirements, hydraulic modeling, and utility equipment screening.
And seeing as how this has gone through planning commission and received a favorable recommendation, now that it is to us, we'll just require 1 read should we choose to approve this. Any questions for Hannah regarding these? There aren't any questions. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second for approval of ordinance 2435, authorizing text amendment to the UDO. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Moving on to 2436, amending the zone map for the Bowsman property. This also went through planning commission. last Wednesday and received a favorable recommendation. It's a relatively simple and straightforward rezone, correct?
Yeah, a neighbor bought an acre of property from their adjacent neighbor, and to parcel it off, we have to change the zoning to a more appropriate zoning because it came from an ag land. So the purchaser requested to change it to SF1, which is what their property is. They have no plans to build. It's just woods. It's on a private drive that's right next to their property. So, I mean, eventually they could reincorporate it into their new property and completely redraw their property lines, but they're not obliged to. If they were to ever sell, it does have residential zoning. If someone bought it and wanted to build a house, they would have to go through site plan review, same as anybody else, to assure there's adequate utilities nearby, setbacks are appropriate, drainage, all of that stuff, but that's not the intention of the owner currently.
Any questions for Hannah regarding this rezone? There aren't any questions. I'll entertain a motion for ordinance 2436, amending the zone map for planning commission petition 1204-2024-02, the Bowson property.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Moving on to item D, the 2025 budget for electric, water, and stormwater. I'll turn it over to Scott.
So these are the budgets that are the same requirements that you have with entities, sub-entities in the town. They're funded through tax revenues. So this is by user fee. So basically what we've taken is last year's budget and added 5%. Just for some budgeting 101, we're supposed to look at what our projected revenues or expenditures are and then project those out. Instead, because of the problems we have with ABP, we just went with a across the board 5% interest or increase. So that's what you see on these three budgets.
And Scott, you made these in tandem with Reedy. I see their name on
Yeah.
the bottom. It's correct, yeah. Any questions for Scott? If there aren't any questions, I'll entertain a motion of approval for 2025 budget for electric, water, and stormwater.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval of the 2025 budget for electric, water, and stormwater. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Moving on to amending the salary ordinance for 2024, which was originally ordinance 2330. We are going to, what this would allow us to do is provide one additional holiday day, which would be the 26th of December. That was just all this does is add that extra day in there. And if I could pull it up on my iPad, I would. Any questions regarding this?
Be all town employees can be off the 26th.
We've gone ahead because we kind of were caught on this one. We went through 2025 and through 2026, and I think we stopped at 2027, kind of mapping out what days we'd be using for that Christmas holiday going forward. And so when we do we've already done the 2025, it has the days off already listed that are correct. This was one that we just kind of had a little bit of a oversight on, so. Any questions regarding that? Now I'll entertain a motion for approval for amending the 2024 salary ordinance 2330.
Make a motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval of amending the 2024 salary ordinance, which is ordinance 2330. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now, since we're amending an existing ordinance, do we have to do 2 reads on that, Rob?
Physically.
Okay. But we'd have to have a motion to suspend the rules to, okay. Given that Christmas is in 2 weeks, we can either, there's two ways we can do this. All is not lost. We can either do a second read tonight or we can do a second read on Tuesday. If you guys would like to wait until Tuesday, since we're having an additional meeting, we can do it then.
It's all on our minds right now.
Okay, that's fine. Then I will entertain a motion for suspension of the rules.
I will make that motion.
Okay, I have a motion for suspending the rules. This has to be unanimous in order for it to go, so, but we can still do just voice vote. We don't have to do roll call, right? Just make sure it's unanimous. We're fine. Okay. I have a motion to suspend the rules. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second for suspension of the rules to allow second read on the same night as introduction. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, moving on now, entertain a motion for second read of ordinance, of amending ordinance 2330, the 2024 salary.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion, and a second for second read approval for the 2024 salary ordinance 2330. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Done and done. Okay, moving on to item F, perf 77 for police. We've been talking about this for the last year, literally. And then items in new business also tie into this, but at this point, this item F, perf 77 for police, we have received, I think, 5 documents from INPRS that we have got to remit back to them by the 15th of December. Is that correct, Lucas? So that they can finalize our involvement in perf 77 starting January 1 of 2025. All we need to do for this item, item F, is grant me approval and Willie approval to be able to sign that paperwork, correct? Correct, Lucas?
I believe. So.
Okay. Lucas and I have learned a lot.
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure that's the way, like I said.
And we kind of did this back, I think, in July and drove down some documents. Now that we have gone through a new actuarial study, we have to redo these documents. So basically, this is a rinse and repeat of what we've done previous in the year, granting Willie and I authority to sign this paperwork. So do I have a motion to allow Willie and I to sign the paperwork?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to allow Willie and I to sign the paperwork, to enter into perf 77 and remit that paperwork to INPRS. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Willie and I will get on it. Get that paperwork signed. Okay, moving on to old business, 2407, abolishing the marshal system and establishing the Pendleton Board of Metropolitan Police Commissioners. As we transition to perf 77, it is a requirement that we abandon our marshal system and move to a system that has a board of Metropolitan Police Commissioners. In addition to a pension board, but this is just addressing the Metropolitan Police Commissioners Board. So in order to do that, we have to have this done. We did the first read of this back in the summer. This is just the second read now that we're getting closer to time for this to go into effect. Did I explain that properly,
Yeah.
Mark and Lucas?
Yeah.
We've learned a
I
lot
believe
through this.
so. So and I try to explain to this people in town, because they've asked me, what's it mean you are a police department? Well,
Right.
technically, we're a marshal's department. So if I just, for instance, if I were to find cause that we need to fire Lucas, I would submit that termination paper before the council. And then what the council does is becomes the safety board. And then it's up to you to decide to approve my firing of Lucas. I can suspend up to 5 days without pay. Anything after that needs safety board approval. Because we're becoming a police department, in order to legally become part of the 77, we have to establish that commission. So that commission is keeping you from ever being the safety board. So it's a good thing for you, but bad thing for Lucas.
In this example.
Sorry,
yes.
Lucas.
In this example.
Yeah.
Lucas, you're out.
Like I said, this has already gone through one read.
What you just explained, I need clarification. So the commissioner board is not the safety board?
They are.
Yeah, okay.
Just
I
we're
miss-
not.
yeah, I
There's no
misunderstood,
council
okay.
rules, Yeah.
Yes.
anymore.
And Rob, with this being new, they would fall under the new rules to where there is no need for a merit commission. This would be this for promotion purposes. The commissioners, hence the safety board, are in charge of merit. Also. Because I know some municipalities have been grandfathered in with the old where you have a safety board and a merit commission. But with this new, they would fall under that.
I believe that's correct.
Okay. I just want to double check on that we didn't have to have a merit commission either. This all falls under the new commissioners and the safety board.
I don't believe you have to have a separate one, if that's the question.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions? Questions? No?
Can I make sure I got this right?
Yeah.
So, new hires would come through this commission. But the police chief has the ability to promote, right? And
That was my question. Because if you're grandfathered in, you can stay under the old merit rules where there is a merit commission board and also a safety board. The merit commission board is in charge of promotions and the safety board is in charge of discipline and firing and hiring. But I'm assuming, I've been told and have researched that with this coming into this new state statute
Right.
that came in, I don't know, 10, 11 years ago. I don't know how long it's been, but there is no need to have a merit commission. That would fall under the new commissioners and the safety board.
So I believe, let's say we're gonna make a promotion to another sergeant. Chief does whatever process he determines to do, interview, whatever it may be. And he's gonna present to that board what his recommendation is, sergeant.
so it's recommendation.
Yeah,
From
and
the
then they would
chief.
say, they would basically give a blessing, yes or no, like a recommendation. Correct? I think.
And then the demotion is the chief can demote or the commissioners demote.
I can promote up to 5 days without pay. Anything over that.
Suspend.
I suspend.
Yes, okay, if I get bumped back. I guess I'm-
Is it the chief's discretion for promotion and demotion? Or is there a separate board for that?
I think it's right up there, maybe in page, what page number that is.
The-
It talks about the appointment of future officers.
Mhm.
Right there, it tells about the board, the safety board.
Keep going up. There you go. Appointment of future officers.
Yeah, the board shall appoint persons to serve in the police department subject to the qualification. Yeah, that's just if you get hired.
Yeah.
I
Right.
thought it goes on
Yes.
down further about the motion
is where.
on F.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, suspension, demotion, dismissal.
So the board is promotion or the police.
Well, that still doesn't say anything about promotion,
Just demotion.
just discipline, pretty much.
And it says may. Says shall.
When I was with Elwood, we had a board of works, they were understanding something. Same thing, different terminology, basically, you never had to go in front of them for a promotion, prison management, basically just confirm. Through this process.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's where they were grandfathered in, or not having to, I have no idea.
I just want it to be clear on promotions. Who, does the board okay those promotions or are the promotions just governed by the chief of police?
My understanding, Councilman, is that it would be through the board.
Okay.
But if there is, since the council's gonna have a meeting next week, I mean, I'm happy, I didn't realize that we had a first reading of this. I'm happy to look at that. Answer, I mean, if you want, more clarity on it.
That's fine.
Be able to get that back.
Mhm.
Is Robert just to have a second review?
That's fine. Yeah, we can do that.
We also are mirroring Portville a little bit with this. They did it a few years ago. And I can probably give a cheap credit to see exactly how he does it. It's police commission board.
Okay. Well, since this was in the transition between legal counsel, we'll have you review this before Tuesday. And then we'll do the second read. The first one is fine. We'll figure that out. But I mean, as far as signing paperwork, that's
And the
not a
reason why I
problem.
bring it up is working for Anderson and they were grandfathered in with their 1980 something ordinance. There is a safety board for discipline and then there's a merit board for promotion. So I just want to make sure with this new board with,
That we have the functions straight of who's
Yes,
doing
I
what.
agree.
Got it.
Totally.
That's fine. Okay, we will do this on Tuesday, but in the meantime, we will get the INPRS paperwork submitted to INPRS and get that part done, and then we'll just do these two ordinances on Tuesday night.
One question I do have with all this is, obviously this board is, I believe, 7 members. Five, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We have to have the people determined to be on this board with us being in the hiring process right now in the hope to hire our 2 new officers early into the year as possible. How does the process go for assigning these people? I know there have been people discuss.
We're gonna meet about appointments. We have an executive session after this meeting to go over appointments for all of our boards and commissions, and that's on the list. So we
Okay, so
plan to
then-
have that done Tuesday also.
And is it determined that that goes in January 1?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, once, yeah, once we're in perf, then that rolls is the idea.
I just we need to know a date for conditional offer.
The 12th is our target start date. Because that's the payroll rules, boom.
Gotcha.
Of January.
Yeah, Karen appreciates that, and Dawn appreciates that it's not January 1, but yes, January 12th. Perfect, okay. Great. We're all good on that. We're gonna wait till Tuesday, have Dinsmore look at it, and then
Yeah.
go from there. Okay, great.
Cool.
Any public comment for tonight? Anybody online?
6 people.
But no hands raised? Okay,
And
great.
I'll drive that paperwork out, yeah,
To Catherine, great. Anything from anybody up here? The only thing that I would like to add is Saturday, we have Wreaths Across America starting at 9 a.m. Pendleton, and we've got a lot of support from local businesses through our Daughters of the American Revolution chapter. And we're gonna be placing over 600 wreaths in Grove Lawn Cemetery. Last year, I think we did approximately 300. And so this is a really special day. And so I would encourage everybody to come out. Even if you didn't purchase a wreath, there will be wreaths that you can help place. All the graves have been marked by, or they will be by Saturday. We're going to need volunteers to come out and place wreaths because that's an ambitious task of placing 600. It's going to be nice on Saturday, nicer than what it is outside right now. So if anybody has, wake up early on Saturday morning and want to grab a cup of coffee and then come place some wreaths, everybody would love to have you. So that's my only public comment. Anybody else have anything?
I'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
It starts at 9,
At
yes.
9.
Anything else? And nobody online? I will make a motion to adjourn at 6:48.
Good move.